So Dale, if you don't mind, just jump in, take 10 or 12 minutes and share some knowledge with us. And then maybe we can jump into some Q&A after that.
Awesome. Okay, can everybody hear me all right? Cool. First off, thanks for having me. Dale Majors, and my history is I had a company called Bike Wagon where we bought and sold bike parts online for about 11 years, from 2004 until 2015. I'd sold casually on eBay since 99, and then kind of made a business out of it later on with my dad. And we ended up having about 28 employees, 25,000 square foot warehouse. We stocked about 16,000 items, and we grew to about 10 million in revenue and sold it in 2015, the end of 2015. Love that. I've always been kind of adventurous, love to travel. We've got 6 kids. I always wanted to have a family travel company. So about a year and a half ago, we bought a brand called, some partners and I bought a brand called Grand Trunk. So we sell hammocks in stores like Cabela's, Shields, Bass Pro, Dick's Sporting Goods. And actually, recently I was speaking with, was it Nathan? So we bought another company 6 months ago called A-Light Designs that makes a chair called the Butterfly Monarch, or the Monarch Butterfly, or whatever it is. See, I don't even know. But we have some like really good products, and that's been cool. So we're rolling that brand into Grand Trunk. With the pandemic, we've done awesome because there's kind of everyone had to just get outside and be social distance. So we kind of lucked out with that. But between selling my company and doing these new things, I did about 2 years of executive coaching, and I really liked it. It just kind of fed my soul, and I loved talking to people about goal setting and time management and goal and purpose and all that other stuff. So I've been doing some of that for the last 5 years too. How that looks today is I run coaching groups for entrepreneurs where it's all group coaching, and then people meet kind of on their own. But we talk about, purpose, goal setting, habits, time management. A few people in this group have actually gone through those, that course that I do. And I love it. It's not going to make me super rich, but it's like really fun and rewarding. And it's been a cool way to spend my time. I love taking my kids on adventures. So a lot of times I work to live, and I'm kind of like a recovering workaholic. And, this summer we've taken lots of like summer trips where we'll leave for 2 months. This summer we drove about 7,000 miles, and we rode 600 miles on different bike paths here in the US, where we'd camp for, a couple weeks at a time. And I really love that. So if anybody ever wants to get into bike touring, I give free bike touring consulting and love to promote that, because it's a really cool way to like spend time with your family. So that's an intro. And today, for the next 9 minutes, I'm going to tell you everything I know about time management in 9 minutes. It'll be awesome. Hopefully disclaimer, it's going to be super random, but I hope that everyone can pull out some sort of nugget from it that they'll be able to apply. And I guess the first disclaimer with time management is there's really no sense in having a lot of great time management tools if you don't know where you're going, or if you're like doing the wrong things, because then you'll just do it all more efficiently. And maybe you'll like end up to know that you're like wrong faster. But in my coaching, I actually talk about time management very last, because I think it's really important to get clear on what you care about, where you want to spend your time, what you actually want to achieve. So the second point is, I think that a strong purpose and a strong vision and direction will trump great time management. A lot of the time, you still need to, manage yourself and manage your commitments and be organized. But a lot of times, it's actually 21 years ago today. Well, on Sunday, it was 21 years ago. If our school schedules were the same, my brother and I were preparing for our very last week of summer in school. And I remember like I got together and I said, Bruce, what are we going to do? How are we going to make this week amazing? Like, what should we do every day of the week? And we actually like detailed what we were going to do Monday, Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Monday night. And we walked through the whole week like that to make it the most epic week. And that included, we went to Tanner Park and we shot the tube. We went to, we went urban spelunking through different tunnels. We went to Raging Waters. There were all these things that we went rollerblading at the University of Utah, which I'm going to do with my kids on Thursday, by the way, if we've got any bladers out there. But I detailed really well what I was going to do each day of the week and was very deliberate about how we were going to do that. And I think the real driver there's two things. We detailed and we used good time management tools. I planned that week, but I also hated school so much and I loved summer so much that it really like set the context to like, this is my last week of freedom. I'm going to make the absolute most out of it. So if you're in a position in life where you don't really care about what you're doing, then great time management skills will only take you so far. And maybe you should try to unplug a bit and find ways to really get jazzed about life again, or what you're doing, or get excited about something. I kind of joke about Disneyland. They're like, man, even really poorly organized people that can't even like win at adulting or life show up on time with tickets to Disneyland. They like, get there on time. They woke up, they had breakfast, they all raced to Star Tours or whatever ride first. It's because their why is so strong that they want to, get there and have that happen. And these are probably people that show up late to work, that forget their, parents' birthdays, all sorts of things. So I guess that's the first thing is, get time management needs to be paired with a strong purpose and vision. Have I nailed that point down well enough for everybody? Okay, anyways, perfect. So who's read the book Getting Things Done by David Allen? Anybody out there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, maybe 5. I don't see the other screen. There's a concept, and I love that book. I've read it, I don't know, 5 or 10 times. And there's a concept that's called mind like water. Thanks, Vicky. This idea, mind like water. And I don't think I even understood it the first several times I read. I'm not overly intellectual. But my younger brother actually explained it to me once. And the idea is, if you drop a pebble into a pond, it will set off a reaction in the water. So if it's a small pebble, you have the little rings that will kind of go out, and they're little rings, right? If you throw a big stone in the water, it's going to create, really big ripples and a much larger reaction. So, how does that apply to time management? And the idea is that, as we go throughout our days, we may get, a 10-minute task given to us here and there, and, maybe 20 times throughout the day. If we don't have a good system, a 10-minute task at the beginning of the day, you can say, oh, sure, I've got this. I've got plenty of time. I'm going to do it. And it sets off a little ring, and our reaction to that task is proportional to the task that was given to us. But if we don't have a good system, and if we live in chaos and we wait till the end of the day, there might be the 15th task or the 20th tasks or whatever that comes across, and it's still just a little 10-minute task that may set us over the edge and say, I can't handle it anymore. I'm so stressed out. And then we're done, right? Because we don't have a mind like water. We're trying to keep everything organized in our own mind. We've never had to juggle and manage too many things. So we just try to do it all, on the back of a napkin, or not have a system. At a certain point, if you have enough people reporting to you, or different factors in your life serving in different functions, jobs, volunteer, whatever else, at a certain point, our mind and our memory will not be good enough to hold in our minds everything that we need. So David Allen, in his book that I recommend everyone read if they struggle with, being more organized, he suggests that you create essentially a hard drive. He says, your day-to-day, just your, hey, great, Jeff, I'll do this. Hey, Eric, I'll do that for you. Yep, yada, yada, yada. That's more like our RAM. So we may have like a gig of RAM, right? But we need to have a hard drive that holds, a terabyte. So in his case, he talks like my personal hard drive that I use, and here's the tactical tool, is I use Trello. And I've used Trello for 10 years. And I know there's other tools that have come out since then, right? But it's really like, I think it's called a Kanban board, right? Where you just have, it's just a bunch of tasks that live in different lists with different context. So on my Trello board, I have I'll close up in 2 minutes, Taylor. So I'm going to take 13 minutes. Is that okay? Okay. I'm an amazing time manager, by the way. So I have my tasks, low energy personal time, of things that I can do when I don't have a lot of willpower and I just, I'm in front of my computer. I have like an inbox, what I'm going to focus on this week, what I'm delegating to other people. I have all sorts of lists, and everyone could have different lists based on what they have. But I mostly don't ever use my brain. And I sort things. I have a system. Trello is my brain. So everything that ever comes in, every commitment that I ever make in my life, I put into my system and I write it down. And then the only way that works is because every single week on a Friday, there's a 2-hour chunk in my afternoon, which is more of my low energy time, but I like planning. I review my Trello list and my calendar for the next week. So my Trello list gets reviewed religiously, and that's really important. And then I go through all of my tasks and then I schedule them into my week. I schedule all of my amazing, fun, like personal time things first, because I like to swim and I like to do other fun things that will make me, a balanced person. And I schedule all that stuff first, because otherwise work will take over. And then I plan the other things. And then I'm content at the end of the week, knowing that I finished the things I would say. And I have never caught up ever in my life. And I've realized that I never will. And then when I die, I'll have like all this undone crap that, that I won't even care about. And that's just how I want to live. And all of having a system like this allows me to be really present, because I have everything in its own bucket and I know what I'm going to do. And because I have a calendar, when I'm with people, I can be with them a lot more instead of just worrying about what's next or what I've forgotten. So that's, I think, the real power of time management. Like time management on its own, is kind of lame and maybe a bit, fanatical, like knowing what you're going to do all the time. But when you have a good system and then you have an hour set aside to just, go swim at the gym or go to lunch with somebody, and you trust your system so well that you don't have to be stressed about the other things that are on your mind, there's a real like calming, peaceful effect that comes. It allows you to be more present and just be with people so you can have a good day, even though your whole week or month isn't, maybe organized or sorted out. That's it. If anybody reads the book, the Getting Things Done, and wants more from me, I will give you for free. I have a training that I give to the people that pay for my mastermind group. I have just a time management segment there. If anybody reads it and goes through and then email me at dale@ventureanyway.com, and I will make you an account and give you access to another like 2 hours of training. That's it, Taylor.
Awesome. I was just writing down your email in my notes. That's a great offer. I really appreciate it. I will post the email. So I'll open it up for questions right now if anybody has any. Otherwise, I've got a couple. So just unmute yourself and pummel Dale with some questions. Krista, you raised your hand.
Dale, I have a group called the Tech Founders Circle that meets online in a kind of a Discord environment like Clubhouse, as well as we have a monthly Zoom. You strike so many chords of what can help these founders and CIOs and CTOs. Would you be up to sharing your perspectives at one of our online forums? Because I know that they'd appreciate what you just shared with us.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, just contact me. You've got my email address.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, no, thanks, Joel.
Wow.
Krista.
Do you feel totally lost without your Trello nearby?
You know, I have it on my phone. So
And
I
you're-
just know it's there with me all the time, keeping me comfortable. So I've never really felt lost. I took 2 months off over the summer and I absolutely forgot, like within 2 weeks, I forgot about what I did professionally. Seriously, like I didn't even really think about it.
And
But coming back,
without-
I had plenty of things that I could come back to, actually delete half of them, but
So without cell phone service or stuff like that, are you still able to stay on top of it?
without, yeah, well, it's a desktop app. So, or sorry, it's just a mobile app.
What I'm saying is, are you always in cell phone service areas?
You don't even need cell phone service. It just works all the time. It's really, I use Trello, but it's really just a paper list. Like if you had a notepad with, 10 pieces of paper for different areas of your life, the main idea is that you just, have written something down that you trust yourself to review,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
yeah, people don't see, your family doesn't see you always on your phone for your secondary brain.
Since they can't hear me, I'll say no, they never see me on my phone. Just kidding. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We all struggle.
I can attest that Dale is really good at like he said, he doesn't check his email until like 11 or whatever time he sets, so that he's not available and he's not waiting for, a Bing to like distract him. That and social media time, I think, are super awesome.
I don't keep email on my phone. I don't do emails on my phone. And I try to, I cheat and lie and whatever around it. Sometimes I'll check it multiple times, but like I set a time for an hour a day where I go in and do the distracted dopamine type stuff where I'm like, oh, social media, and all those things. But then then I cut myself off from the world and just do my own thing. But that's kind of another thing. Thanks, Spencer.
Karen, or am I saying that right? I've heard people pronounce your name differently. Is Karen the
No,
right
that's
way?
right. That's right. It's like getting in the car. Yeah.
Okay.
I used to do exactly what Dale is doing or used to do or does now when I was a general counsel for software companies. If I could tell everybody like when I was doing things, then they knew not to expect immediate response, and then I would cheat. But I bought this yesterday at the Amazon 4-star store. So we'll see if this works for me. I have little crazy Post-its like all over the place on my desk and lots of notebooks all over my desk. So I needed to get organized around like how many notes I have. So we'll see if this works.
That called the Rocket Book?
Yeah, it's called the Rocket Book, and it connects with your computer and you write your notes on it. And then it goes into your computer and you can erase it and you put it back in. So unlike having all these Post-it notes all over my desk, or like the suggestion that somebody had where Kevin O'Leary's got the Post-its next to his mirror before he goes to sleep or whatever it is, he's got to do those things. I thought, well, maybe I'll try this. Because as a founder, you just got a gazillion things to do. So I have too many lists. And so I want one list. And then you can rearrange it, right? Anyway, enough said. That's what I wanted to say.
Very cool. Dale and anyone else, do you have any other tools like what Karen's showing that you use other than Trello, or any frameworks or ways of thinking about what you do?
So yeah, I mentioned already the weekly planning thing. So maybe not tools, but that weekly consistent, going back to reviewing what's in your world and knowing that you'll review everything, it allows you to put an important thing in Trello, knowing that you don't have to worry about it until it can come into your world. So like somebody will say, hey, Dale, you need to do this. And then I put it down and I know that on a Friday, I'm going to see that note again. So I think that's really important, just the time of day. And then another really kind of meaningful thing that I've done, like I try and experiment all sorts of things, and I'm always like trying something new and failing or not doing it and being excited about it and then stopping. So I try to not share things until I've done something for like a year. but which I'm still not successful at. But so I started writing in my journal about 7 years ago, like every day. So I'll journal something every day. And for the first 6 years, they were fine. And I put pictures. I used Day One, the app. But a year ago, probably a year and a half ago, I started at the very first part of the day, I walk outside. I have a little trail behind my house or whatever, the sidewalk. And I pull up my phone, and in my journal, I dictate the answer to 5 questions. I use the iPhone Shortcuts app to say, it takes an input and then it posts it in my journal. But technology is not that important. But what I do is I walk around my neighborhood in my bare feet, kind of like a weirdo. I'm sure a lot of people seeing me are like, what's going on here? I'm grounding, I'm like earthing. But I answer those questions, and it's what were yesterday's highlights? What is on your mind now? And it's really interesting. First thing in the morning, like I don't look at news or email or anything else before, I haven't looked at it yet today, for example, right? Like I usually do. I'll usually check it at 9 or whatever. Somebody ran over my tree in my parking strip, so it's been a weird day. But I don't do that. I just talk to myself for like 10 minutes. What's on my mind? What's going on? What do I think about this? What do I think about that? And then the next question is, how do I make today amazing? And then I think, okay, I'm going to be meeting with these people. I want to be really present with them. I want to really, make an impression here or really try to help this person out. I'm just talking through my day, and it's amazing the benefit. And I learn while I'm talking, which sometimes makes you kind of sound dumb, but like I have to talk things through. And as I speak out my journal and walk through my day, it's amazing what kinds of ideas I have. And they've been unmolested by the news or email or other people's worlds. So I can just sleep the whole night and then have this time to kind of plan my day and talk through things. That's been a really cool tool that I have, because I even review my calendar at that point too.
Taylor, if I could jump in too.
Yeah.
One thing that we use at a company level is we'll use Airtable in order to set up OKRs, so objectives and key results, and then tie them into specific team initiatives, which are tied to these individual tasks. And you can set up Airtable also in a Kanban view, just like Trello. In fact, it's very similar to Trello in a lot of ways, but it can be extended in a hierarchical way so that you can say, well, how does my task associate with my team's task? How does my team's task associate with my departments and then my companies, so that you can align and say, what is truly the priority of our company and how does that funnel down to the individual? And then how does the individual task funnel back up to the company? So it requires setup. I mean, it's basically like a more sophisticated way in order to do spreadsheets. And you can restrict and dynamically allocate how individuals can utilize different aspects of it. But once you have it set up, it doesn't matter Airtable or something else. But if you tie your task back to the OKR at a company level, it's a great way to get a large group of people on the same kind of boat.
That's awesome. Cool.
We use Traction. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but Traction is in my opinion, it's the equivalent of GTD for business. So Getting Things Done by David Allen. I've read that book 3 or 4 times as well. And I love the way Traction forces you to put things in context. So it forces you to look through and channel the right things at the right time. So don't, if it's a headline, something that, everybody just needs to know this, you can put it on the headlines list and it comes up in your L10 meeting. A level 10 meeting is what they call it. But instead of distracting everybody in Slack with that thing that everybody wanted to know, it forces you to channel those things into their appropriate buckets, keeps everybody focused. So
awesome.
This is super cool. I'm just taking notes and copying and pasting stuff out of the chat. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions and keep talking. I'm just going to keep taking notes because I'm loving it.
I have a question probably I'm not the only one here who is inundated by how many newsletters, how many emails, how many spams, and all the filters in the world only work so much when you're having to jump from one platform to another, and you have Outlook and you have this and you have that. And other than searching for everything that says unsubscribe and being able to select which list you stay on, how do you best track and filter? Because there are things that you do want to get hold of, and there are also things you want to release, and the time that it takes, and paying $299 for an app to do it just makes no sense. How do you best control the overwhelm of the inflow as well?
I personally, and I'm sure there are other good ideas here, but I unsubscribe from everything. I use kind of an inbox zero approach where I'll clean out my inbox every day, at least to under a page, and filter it out into the, into my Trello or whatever, just reply to things. Yeah, I just unsubscribe from everything. I used to save lots of emails, but I would never really, look at them again. And you can search for deleted emails and go back through things.
The most effective way that I found to manage my email was actually to outsource it. So I hired an assistant to track my email for me, and letting go of it was very difficult in the initial piece of it. Like letting someone else manage that priority for me was difficult, but a fantastic assistant makes a huge difference for that.
Very cool. That's good. That's awesome. So we're about 3 minutes over of what we typically do. If you have additional questions, happy to stick around for another couple minutes, but also wanted to just let you know, next week, I'm trying to convince my brother, Landon Bench, to be our expert. Because as I was talking with Dale yesterday, my brother came to mind because he took a new job recently, and he is helping businesses do warehousing and order fulfillment for trying to get into big box stores and do distribution. So he just up and moved to Bentonville in January. So I think it would be cool to have him come and talk, but we'll see if we can convince him. But otherwise, really appreciate everybody coming. Dale, this has been awesome. I'll post my notes, post this video, and please reach out to Dale if you've got questions. I think he made an offer also to look at some of the content that he's created. So that's fantastic as well. But anybody have one or two other questions that we want to talk about? Otherwise, we'll adjourn until next week. Okay. Look for the recording on the midday.connect.com. And Dale, thanks so much for your time. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, thanks. Good to meet everybody.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out.
Thanks all.
Thanks. We'll see you.
Thanks, Dale.
Bye.
See ya. Thanks, Taylor. It's
No
fun.
problem. Thank you. We'll talk
Okay,
soon.
we'll see ya.
Bye.
Yep, bye.